Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Jaime Fuego here.
And we're here to do a in-theater review right now, you guys. Well, a review of a movie that's still in theaters, maybe not for very much longer, though, by the time you see this. Because we're going to be talking about Rampage today. It's been out for a few weeks already, and it's getting swallowed up by some other movies.
Yeah, we're in summer movie season at this point, after Avengers came out, and yet A Quiet Place still managed to hit second, and this movie is floundering quite quickly. Not too surprisingly.
And I heard people buying A Quiet Place tickets while waiting at the theater, too, still, like, it's crazy. But
with good reason.
We are here to talk about, as I said, Rampage, the big, dumb, action creature movie starring The Rock.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan as well. Ackerman, acting so silly.
Anyway. Oh, that's who that was, because she was in brown hair, so I couldn't even place her for some reason.
She's such a babe, but she's pretty
She was frustrating in this, yeah. So we'll get into all that. We're going to do our review like normal. Some people might think, you know, this isn't a horror movie, and yes, it's not a horror movie, but
it's got big creatures, man.
Big creatures, and there definitely are scenes that would be at home in a horror movie. So I think we justify it there pretty well. This talking about my overall thoughts, it is exactly what it advertises to be. A big, dumb creature movie. Emphasis on the dumb.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
But yeah, it's so it's only really enjoyable on that level. I mean, The Rock is kind of fun. His relationship with George is actually pretty entertaining, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan is in equal parts annoying and impressive to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of the big dumb actionness of it, there wasn't much to it, in my opinion. What about you, Fuego?
This movie was stupid, man. Really. But then again, it's not like I went in expecting anything less, as you mentioned, man. So the dialogue was so bad, man.
It was really rough. It took a lot of time.
It was just such a boring script. The guy beside me was like falling asleep, and then he's on his phone at one particular point, and I was more distracted by that than anything. But, I mean, once again, this movie didn't masquerade as something other than what it was. Directed by the San Andreas guy, Brad Payton, which was also big, dumb fun. But for me, this was... I wanted more fun, and aside from the creatures and a little bit of The Rock because he's endearing and fun and stuff, I didn't have much fun with this movie.
Yeah, definitely understandable and agreed with. So I guess we'll go into the story real quick. It's very plain in the trailer. I mean, we
know everything.
Yeah, there's this weird experimental thing going on actually in space. That's one of the horror scenes I was referring to, where there's a single survivor on a almost completely destroyed space station.
Like a mutated lab rat.
Yeah,
or something.
A mutated lab rat running around killing everyone, I guess. And we're seeing the aftermath of it.
Why did George not get spikes? Everyone else got spikes. Why didn't George get spikes?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question, actually.
Anyway, off topic.
Anyway, yeah, it's, so... Yeah, that is a good point. But still, so she escapes and ends up not really escaping, and these things crash land to Earth. And 3 animals find them, even though I think there were 4 canisters total. But I
found that scene fairly compelling, though. I mean, it was a decent opening to the movie.
It really was.
It started with a punch that I wasn't necessarily expecting, and then, of course, it went into the tediousness that it kind of maintained throughout. But
yeah, it was way slower than I really expected it to be. But but nonetheless, so these things crash land, and one is tapped on by the gorilla that The Rock is sort of familiar with and taming at the San Diego wildlife thing,
or something.
You know, he has this pre-existing relationship that they sort of give a little bit of time to at the beginning,
which is actually cute, and it was the emotional core of the movie, honestly.
Right, and it was effective at the end. I thought it made for a satisfying sort of end to a big dumb movie, but yeah, it you know, from there these things, the other 2 things are found by both a wolf and a crocodile.
Yeah, with Everglades in Wyoming, and yet they both grew way bigger than George too, which is another thing that I was looking for some consistency in.
Yeah, I guess it might be the amount of exposure. Like the crocodile ate the whole thing.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But we didn't get to the croc until the very end. It was all wolf for the longest damn time.
Yeah, but actually that wolf scene, again, another one of the horror scenes, really, I thought, effective.
Yeah, with the Deathstroke or Deathstrike or whatever the hell his name is.
Deathstroke,
Joe Manganiello, right?
Joe Manganiello, yep, from the Magic Mike movies, and more well-known from True Blood as Alcide the wolf.
That's right.
He played a wolf himself, like a big giant wolf. So it, I don't know if actually it was the wolves were giant in True Blood. I can't remember at this point.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, so these creatures start to grow and become aggressive, including George, which is what I didn't understand from the trailer. You know, they didn't really explain, but then so The Rock and this other lady,
she was terrible in my opinion.
Not great.
She was really bad.
Really kind of, but still, they go and try and figure out how to cure George rather than, you know, destroy them like everyone else wants to do.
Yeah, but then there's the evil maniacal company that put this serum or this whatever together, and that's where Malin Ackerman and her brother, and the two of them were like walking cliches. They were so terrible, man. And I've seen her really act the hell out of stuff, and to just be so one note and so throwaway. And her brother was even worse. Like he's like eating in a bunch of different scenes.
Eating in every scene, yeah. Like, and that was so like it didn't make sense. And he was like. So he's like the Weasley little no backbone,
bumbling,
version of her, who is, you know, the clear cut, keeps her crap together, you know, all the time, and it's like, oh, it's just so boring, and we've seen it so many times and done better so many ways.
And they didn't seem smart enough to be running a company of this caliber, which is what was so terrible about it.
At all. So anyway, they're sort of the antagonists of the story, and then the creatures sort of all collide in Chicago, and that's where the last third of the movie takes place.
It's the only fun in the movie.
Yeah, the only real fun in the movie, exactly. So yeah, that's the story, and it is what it is.
Paper thin.
Yeah,
it is
not
based
very
on a
good.
video game.
Not very good. I mean, it's on par with, you know, the other big budget disaster movies. San Andreas was no deeper than this, you know. So on that level, you know, they did enough, I guess, in their opinion. But still, let's talk about the acting. The Rock is The Rock.
He's good.
Charismatic, fun to watch. Yeah.
They gave him some really bad dialogue at times.
Yeah, but like you said, the two siblings, the two evil siblings, were terrible. I actually wasn't a fan of the person that The Rock was running around with.
No, she was bad, and her voice kept kind of caving in certain takes, and I was just like, does she have like hoarse? But I don't know.
Yeah, she wasn't that fun to watch, and
they didn't really feel like they had any genuine chemistry either.
No, not at all. And then finally, Jeffrey Dean Morgan shows up, and
he was okay.
He was just so over the top, so like leaning into the Texan of it all, and being like Negan heavy, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like as far as how he was acting and stuff like that. So it just was. It was at times kind of endearing, but most times just annoying and frustrating.
I honestly liked it better when him and The Rock were button heads as opposed to when they started chumming it up.
Yeah,
seriously.
Well, like, even that relationship was cliche. You know, like that. There was a lot of cliche human interactions in this movie.
Gotta stick together. Yes, this was trope after trope after trope. Nothing new here whatsoever.
So then you basically are left with what you're hoping the movie's going to hang its hat on, which is all of the creature action at the end. And there was a lot of it, although having watched it now, here's the thing. The first third of the last third of the movie is really good. The last third of the last third of the movie is really good. But the middle third of that last third of the movie, all they were doing was climbing the building. And that's it. Like, nothing, the wolf and the crocodile weren't doing anything.
And let's jump from helicopter to helicopter to Humvee to Humvee.
No, see, that was the first third of the last third. That was entertaining. And when the crocodile first emerged and started attacking things, like, that's entertaining. It's when they jumped on the building and started climbing for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and they kept segueing into the building.
That was all the human interaction and dealing with the siblings and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, that's so not what I came here for, you know?
Yep.
And then again, they go back to the creature stuff for the last third of it. For the last third of the final third. And that part was good. Again, it was fun. I mean, but...
And I think that if we can segue into effects, the creatures did look pretty damn good. Especially George, the gorilla. He looked practically lifelike to me, especially like the waving movement of the hair and stuff like that, and facial expressions and everything. They did put the money into the effects of him specifically. I felt like the other two creatures looked pretty good. The croc was a little over CG for me.
See, I thought the wolf was more CG heavy than the crocodile was.
It was neck and neck between those two.
The crocodile was just so big it could blot out most of its own shots.
True.
The wolf, I just thought, especially with its squirrel suit wings, like
yeah. Well, and
I thought that was real CG.
And they only
looking.
showed it fly that one time.
No, they did it a few times.
Well, a couple times, but Rock's line in the trailer where he's like, "Of course the wolf can fly." I thought they were going to lean on it a little more heavily, and they
no, just
didn't
a couple
so much.
times, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it fly up to the? No.
Well, no, it doesn't flap its wings; it glides.
No.
It's like I said, it's got like a squirrel suit, like a flying squirrel.
Yeah.
That part you don't get as much of as you want, but they all can go vertical very easily. Like so, that's kind of weird. But the actual fighting and stuff of the creatures, I thought that was fun.
Yeah. I like George picking up pieces of debris and smashing people with it and stuff, or smashing the other creatures with it and whatnot. And there was actually some decent creature kills, I must say. It wasn't like super blood heavy or anything like that, but the one thing that I wanted to see was them reaching into buildings and eating people. Yeah. And with the exception of one scene where a character gets eaten, it was pretty devoid of that. So.
Yeah, I agree.
And that was a satisfying scene, though, I have to say, as silly as it was. I was laughing as it happened. But.
Yeah, exactly. It was super silly, and it was. I felt like it was the wrong creature to have do it, but whatever.
And also the fact that creature hadn't eaten anybody the whole time. Why does it suddenly decide that?
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
Once again, script.
Yeah, but anyway, so that might be a tiny bit spoilery, but whatever. It's Rampage.
Yeah.
But still, I'm telling you that I really loved the scene in the woods with the wolf and the Joe Manganiello group.
Team.
Like that was so cool and so
effective.
horror.
It was.
And actually it was very reminiscent of Aliens,
A little bit. Yeah.
Because of the home team sort of watching as they all sort of disappear one at a time kind of thing.
Where's Basket? Where's Basket?
Yeah. And then I thought the very end of it was great when the wolf was like right here. I was like, ooh, that's disturbing. Yeah. So yeah, there were a couple of satisfying scenes, and again, for creature fans, you might as well see it in the big screen on a $5 Tuesday like we did. You know what I mean?
Use your movie pass or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, why don't you guys let us know? Well, I don't know. Hang on. Let me see if there's anything else. So yeah, Fuego, is there anything else you think is worth mentioning in the film?
Honestly, not really, man. I mean, big booming sound and, crashing of buildings and whatnot, but no effective score or memorable bits there. I mean, honestly, this is sadly a very forgettable movie for me. So
At least the cinematography, you got to see the creatures. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
didn't see the Godzilla effect.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that. But yeah, outside of that, there's not much more to say about this one. So might as well cut it there.
Sorry, guys.
Why don't you guys let us know in the comments down below if Rampage interested you, or if you saw it, what you thought of it. I'd like to, see what you guys think. I'd be interested. So please let us know in the comments down below. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, I've been Jaime Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.